lost mine in the sand. Where will you stand?
From the frigid, snow-covered wasteland of South Carolina. Really? I don't, I mean, you know,
I have to tell you, I made a conscious effort. Any of the states that seemed over the years to get some bad weather, you know, nothing guaranteed, but like Kentucky was iffy, Ohio was iffy, Colorado was iffy. So I cleverly eliminated them all
hmm
and picked southern states to come to. So, I don't have words for it. I can't even describe it.
yeah,
We tend to think that, you know, the world conspires against me. So this just feeds into my thought process.
yeah, I guess so. To see, I think it was, well, good thing you're not going to DeRidder. I mean, they've got a snowstorm down there.
I mean, yeah, who would have ever thought Louisiana? But in any case,
Yeah, yeah, it's something.
life goes on. What can I
Yeah.
say?
So, hey, a lot has happened since we were on the broadcast. You were here, and we were kind of
Right.
watching all of this unfold before our eyes. So, I guess the best thing is the hostages. We see
Right.
three of them have been released, but
Right.
we're a long ways from the victory of this. What's your take on it all?
Okay. I don't even use the term victory.
Yeah.
We in Israel have truly snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
hmm
Um, I mean, the scenes of our three hostages, the three women returning home, hugging their families, is priceless.
Yeah.
The fact that, so many terrorists are surrendered, and there are still so many question marks. This particular quote unquote deal, ceasefire, is supposed to go for 42 days. Over that, in drips and drabs, hostages will be released. There are four hostages that will supposedly, with Hashem's help, be released
hmm
this coming either Shabbat or Sunday.
Yeah.
It's kind of, back and forth a little bit. Um, and at the same time, we see these incredibly gleeful Gazans,
Oh.
all well dressed,
hmm
all well fed, um, and the staged intimidation of the hostages, of the taking over the Red Cross ambulances. It's just astounding to me. Red Cross vehicles, they're not ambulances.
Wow.
Um, Now, the next stage, which I don't know if we'll ever get to or not, is an Israeli pullback and a scheduled release of the rest of the hostages. Why we were unable to get all of the hostages at this time astounds me. And it's only due to American governmental pressure, not the Biden administration, the Trump administration, that has forced this deal down our throats. That and having a prime minister who has no grounding or
Mhm.
focus or vision for what Israel, I mean, here, the perfect example, who or whom are going to be running Gaza?
Well, yeah, and that brings something that really bothered me the other day was when I was watching all this unfold. It said that these three women are now in Israel. Excuse me, when they were in Gaza, they were in Israel. But these people in the media, and I don't know if that was if I saw that actually on Israel media or if it was just in the United States. to somehow somebody has rewritten history and the maps and everything else. And, these women were held in, yes, the area called Gaza, but that's still Israel. And so now they're released into
Okay.
where Israel still.
Okay. We do have to clarify, though, for our listeners, Gaza has never been part of the state of Israel. I'm
And
not talking about biblical borders.
yeah,
Gaza was never incorporated into the state of Israel.
and see,
So,
therein lies my issue with the whole thing is, and that, that's something we talk about a lot. But until the government starts to see the what is laid out in scripture, but they're not following that. Okay, so I got that.
but again, the state of Israel does not create its policy based on simply opening up the Tanakh
Yeah,
and saying this, that, or the other thing. So,
yeah,
I just, people will listen to this, and I just don't want them to be confused.
yeah. I just I mean, you had when the people were correct me here, okay? When the Jewish people were in Gush Katif,
Yes,
where were they?
Gaza, like Judea and Samaria of today,
Mm-hmm.
is considered and quote an administrated territory. It's not part of the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it should be Judea
Yeah,
and Samaria,
yeah.
but there is actually a law that has to be renewed every 5 years to enable Jewish residents in Judea and Samaria to vote in Israel's elections.
You know, there's a lot of things.
Jerusalem, Jerusalem and the Golan Heights
Yeah,
were annexed into Israel,
yeah,
both of them. That's
yeah.
it.
There's a lot of things about Israel that I don't, that as much as I do understand, there is a lot that I sure don't understand. And the fact that you would have government officials that would vote every 5 years for people living in Judea, Samaria to have the right to vote is just, in my opinion, a little crazy.
It's more than a little crazy,
Yeah.
but you know what? Then when you consider Judea and Samaria, Yosh, Yehuda v'Shamron, you've got areas A, B, and C.
Hmm.
Total control of the Palestinian Authority, civil and security.
Hmm.
Although, I mean, look at what's going on in Jenin. That's not,
Yeah.
it's not the so-called Palestinian Authority. You've got Area C, which is total Israeli control,
Hmm.
Jewish communities, and Area B, which is kind of a mishmash of it.
Yeah. A little bit of
That in and of
everything.
itself,
Yeah.
since the Oslo Accords,
Hmm.
is, we've got a lot to work on and a lot to change. No doubt
There's,
about it.
yeah. With that statement, I can totally agree with you. A lot of things to work on, a lot of things to change.
Yeah.
And until there is leadership that is willing to, have a backbone to make changes, the whole thing kind of continues on in this nightmare that you guys have lived with,
Yeah.
since 1948. Uh,
The
the stabbing in I saw stabbing in Tel Aviv. And that was a kind of a strange one. The guy's got an American passport or a green card with America stamped on it.
and understand, with this recent change of visa and entry that the United States has pushed through, we're somewhat limited, believe it or not, in denying entry to American citizens. This guy is of Moroccan descent and is a resident of the US,
Hmm.
or I should say was. Um, but again, it's just, at the risk of being redundant, the government of Israel, the current government of Israel, or as of last week, before Ben Gvir pulled out with his faction,
Hmm.
remember this is referred to as an ultra nationalist right-wing government.
Yeah.
I've been saying for years, Netanyahu is a centrist and a low ultra right wing. Well, this is the government. He's the prime minister that made this deal. And I keep getting comments on that infamous post that I put up on Facebook about Israel surrenders. Bibi's back down once again. And people like, no, I don't. Y'all have no idea. That's the thing. People, and that was the issue that I had regarding the fall of Assad in Syria, where
Hmm.
people saying, this is the biblical, three transgressions of Damascus. They're destroyed. They're not destroyed. There
Yeah.
wasn't a building in Damascus that came down. Nothing.
Mm.
It's, and again, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're just gonna have to see how this thing plays out.
Yeah.
And it's, to consider, and I watched these, and I kind of coined a phrase yesterday when I was teaching, when I did my weekly teaching, the Hamas hyenas. I watched interesting enough, we had two of our grandkids, the older boys, yesterday, and we put a nature show on Angel, and it's really great. I love the way that it is presented. It's not with all the secular and scientific garbage. It's based upon, hey, this is creation, which I just loved it. But interesting enough, they had a scene there of hyenas. And this lioness who is, trying to get a meal, and all these hyenas come in. And I mean, hello, it was like watching last week in Gaza,
Yeah.
the same exact thing. I mean, for
And
for
yeah.
for Israel to be treated like this, and then when the ceasefire, so-called ceasefire deal is in effect, all of these rats, hyenas, come out of the ground, out of their little caves, out of their tunnels, and we see in the distance, in the background, the so-called innocent Palestinians that are living in Gaza. Uh, okay, they got a choice. I'm not asking them to stand up against 100 people that have AK-47s, but you don't, if you're innocent, you're not up on top of a truck cheering.
Yeah. The This is where recent modern history comes back to bite us. Everything going on throughout Judea and Samaria is tied into the Oslo Accords of 1993. Everything that has gone on in Gaza is tied into our withdrawal from Gaza in 2005.
Yeah.
So from 1967 until 2005, Israel administered Gaza, the entire Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
Jewish communities were built. I'm just refreshing, people's memories. 2005, we pulled out. So is, and even thinking of it in terms of, well, that land is promised to Israel. So is southern Lebanon and a lot
Yeah.
more. But we are not going to go to war now or anytime in the near future to conquer additional pieces of land because it fits in with a biblical roadmap. That is not the issue. Israel is fighting a war because we were attacked. So, people write me and they'll say, "Well, this is another piece of greater Israel coming." It's not. Israel's not going to hold on to Gaza. Israel's not going to resettle Gaza. So the people that made the argument, and they're still making the argument, someone wrote this also on that Facebook post, of whether the order was given to stand down on October 7th.
Yeah.
They cannot believe that we made such horrific, stupid mistakes, but we did. And finally, our chief of staff is finally stepping down
Yeah.
for all of his mistakes. But to understand that premise that there was an order given to stand down was so Israel could go in, ethnically cleanse Gaza, resettle it with Jewish communities, and history would be changed. Except Israel's not staying in Gaza, not recreating Jewish communities. So the whole premise behind that, but people, again, I keep saying, don't confuse the issue with facts. People are saying insane things all over the world.
So let me ask you, what happens to Gaza? Okay, there are, of course, in the media, all we see is the bombed out buildings, and I'm well aware that there are areas of Gaza that are not bombed. They're beautiful areas, but there are communities there that are pretty much rubble. Okay,
Right.
so if Israel does not want to go in and have anything to do with this, is it up to the Gazans and the
Okay.
PA
It's
or
a great
whoever
question.
else is there to go in and start to rebuild this? I just don't see them doing that.
Okay. That's a really interesting point. First of all, just again, Israel, quote unquote, doesn't want to go in. We disengaged from Gaza in 2005.
Hmm.
You were against it. I was against it. And, people are sitting back, shaking their heads, saying we never should have done that.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that's not being reversed. Just yesterday, I read the estimate is that it will take $80 billion to rebuild Gaza.
Hmm.
Now, in just what I believe will be a series of bizarre ideas and statements coming from President Trump and his staff, is the idea that they were going to relocate temporarily
Hmm.
some of the Gazan population to Indonesia. I mean, what are they going to fly them first class? I mean, Indonesia, it's the other side of the world. This isn't like we'll put them in Saudi Arabia, we'll put them in the Sinai, we'll put the nothing. But who's going to come up with the $80 billion? America and the European Union have been funding Gaza and their ruling
Hmm.
leadership, Hamas. I mean, who's going to come up with $80 billion?
Yeah, and
So,
look
so
where all that money that America and Europe sent to Gaza, where did it go? Well, you guys have been seeing the results of that money for how many years now? I mean, not just since October 7th, but prior to that. It's
right.
going to the manufacturer of ammunition, of rockets, of all of these things. But yet, let's
And the
keep throwing
tunnels,
money there. So
yeah.
these people don't want to rebuild anything. They're, in my estimation, they're for the most part okay to live in these tunnels and ground, and that's who they are.
The world itself out there, United Nations, European Union, see bombed out buildings. Now, it's interesting because President Trump made an interesting comment the other day that the real estate, he's a real estate guy, the real estate of Gaza is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
It's on the Mediterranean, so I don't know. I don't know if he thinks it's going to be like, Monaco or Singapore. I don't know. I don't know, but he's the one that seems to be calling the shots.
Yeah, Gaza could be turned into, as someone said many years ago, the Riviera of the Mediterranean. Beautiful town, beautiful beaches, everything else. But when you have people that are their hatred, and this
Yeah.
is what I was talking actually to Alex last night a little bit about this. I still don't believe that I even understand the hatred. And I've studied Islam. I've studied this whole thing. I've been around it for a lot of years. But to try to figure out that level of hatred is really beyond my human comprehension.
Well, see, and this is the thing, it's interesting. There are people who deny the Shoah, the
Yeah,
Holocaust,
yeah.
and the American army took films as they liberated death camps. But and people say, well, that was 1945. It's a long time. Very few survivors, I mean, they're all dying, they're passing
Mhm.
away.
Yeah.
People are already denying all that happened on October 7th, 2023. The beheading of the children, the burning families alive, the rapes of women and young girls. I mean, this is the Hamas terrorists admitted it. They filmed it with their GoPro cameras.
Yeah.
And people saying, no, it didn't happen. It's
And
a cognitive dissonance of separating reality from your warped ideology. It's
well, it's
crazy.
like I talked to somebody a few months ago, messianic person, okay? And they were telling me all the atrocities that the IDF had done. But I saw it on YouTube. Let me tell you, uh, Trump just announced yesterday this massive, billions and billions of dollars for a server farm or whatever in Texas regarding AI. Right now, a person can go can go onto their computer with our current technology and make videos and pictures that the vast majority of people can't figure out if it's true or not.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen when that's taken to a next level is literally you will not be able to believe anything that you see on a screen anywhere. Everything will be in doubt.
Well, the thing that's intriguing about that is people are already believing only what they want to believe. I mean, to say that Zionism is racist because it is a Jewish ethno-state.
Hmm.
There are 22 Arab Muslim countries surrounding us. No one is saying, wow, I can't believe that there are Arab Muslim ethno-states. No one is saying that. It's that one Jewish state. It's really amazing. It's an amazing, amazing thing.
Well, it's like when I introduced you the other day on at Life Assembly, I said, people, we're all capable of this. We all do this. You go online and you're trying to, are you trying to find truth or are you trying to find your truth? It goes to this that I use this example. If you're trying to find, a new set of pots and pans, a new watch, a new golf driver, whatever, you've already made up your mind pretty much of what you want. And so you're going to find, and the internet's wonderful about this with its algorithms, it's going to help you in finding the your truth at the end of this. That is what you wanted to begin with, because
Right.
let's say that I'm looking for a new golf driver, and this video comes up and it's saying this is the worst one in the world. I'm looking at the guy going, "You're an idiot. How can you possibly say that? Because I've already made my decision. So why am I spending this time going through these exercises, trying to justify, and that maybe that's the thing, trying to justify my truth instead of looking for the truth."
Well, people are whipped up in a frenzy. I remember in college taking a course on the Shoah, on the Holocaust. And I remember people who were not Jewish who took the course saying, like, you'd look at a picture in Austria before the Shoah started. forcing Jews to scrub the streets and ripping the clothes off women. And they're like, how could this happen? How could the average person, get into this? And then you look at the Arab Muslim world. Nothing's changed.
No. Well, it has changed in the manner of the violence, the debauchery, the level of hatred. I think it's even is even increased from what
Yeah.
happened during the Shoah. And I mean, that's when I say that, it's like, how can that possibly be? But when you watch it with your own eyes and you
Yeah.
see this young girl that comes back and she's missing two fingers, and in the 15 months she was there, they, it was just a good thing that there was a paramedic there, because they never gave her medical attention. How do you do
It
that?
The fact that this is so fresh, this isn't 10 years ago, this isn't 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and the majority of the world don't care.
No.
And when even within the United States of America, it's estimated that more than 50% hate Jewish people.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not surprised. And again, for those who know me, know that I grew up with violent anti-Semitism
Hmm.
where I lived in the Bronx. But this is widespread. And we live at a time where information is more readily available at your fingertips
Yeah.
than ever before in history.
Yeah.
And people still basically believe what they want to believe, or ignore what is too inconvenient to deal
Absolutely.
with.
Absolutely.
It's that line from the movie The Way We Were. What's too painful to remember, we simply choose to forget.
Mhm. And in the midst of that, you mentioned something the other day of what can we do. There are a number of things, but in response to that, the other day as we were doing some Q&A, I said to everybody that there's really not a place that I go, a conversation that I have with anyone, anywhere, that I don't slip in the word Israel, because I'm just looking for a reaction. I'm looking for an open door. I'm looking for anybody out there that is willing to have a conversation on truth. Because if I can change one person's life, one person's attitude, one person's truth, from their truth to the truth,
Right.
maybe they'll go and do the same thing. So it's, I don't, you and I were talking about this in the car somewhere along the way. I don't feel that people believe today that they matter. I did a whole program with Alex last night on this, that on Life on Purpose. They don't believe what they do matters. Well, okay, I know that Mike and Hanoka are saying, I need to share things about Israel online, but it really doesn't matter if I do that.
Someone else will do it for you.
So yeah, yeah, which means nobody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Take people need to figure out, yes, I can make a difference. In I may not have a huge sphere of influence, and the reason for that possibly is this: you've never tried to have a sphere of influence. You may not know what you have until you try it.
You know, it's so hard for me to understand people who do nothing. And part of this presentation, I don't want to, sort of
Mhm.
tip my kippah before I get there. Part of this presentation deals with how I became who I am
Yeah.
and what my mindset has always been my entire life. I can't tell you how many notes I've gotten in the last week looking at the pictures of the hostages. Gee, it appears one of them is injured.
Mhm.
Okay. And so many of us had no idea of all that went on October 7th. And my response has been very simple. I struggle to comprehend that, knowing all the articles and all the videos in English that have been available. So if you haven't become familiar in 15 months with the largest, most impactful, devastating effect in the history of the state of Israel,
Yeah.
don't bother me. Really.
Well, yeah. Well, it's never coming here, Hanok. We're safe in America. We'll never see anything like this. That's kind of the attitude, I think. My attitude is this: those that are standing in Israel on the front line are right now doing so so that others don't have to.
One of the one of the guys that was wounded in Tel Aviv last night had lost his right hand
Yeah,
in the armored corps, and
yeah,
he went to attack the terrorist.
yeah.
So it's we're not giving up.
No, you
I'm
can't.
just well, I've got a lot more stops to go,
Yeah,
hopefully without snow. Um,
yeah.
but it's very clear to me, those who care and want to know,
Mhm.
care and know.
Yeah,
And those for whom it's like kind of like, oh yeah, wow, that's still going on, you know. You know, they're like Joe Biden. They think this war is over. And it very well may be, because I don't think my government has the guts
yeah.
to return to active combat.
Let me finish with this. We're out of time. In the front page of my scripture is a rewrite of Dietrich Bonhoeffer's statement regarding going back to Germany.
Right.
And I rewrote it like this: I have no right to participate in the fruit of restoration of his kingdom if I have not shared in the trials of its coming. That's what I live by.
You know, it's interesting when Herbert Hoover, um, was he running for president or president ready? Anyway, a chicken in every, two cars in every garage and a chicken in every pot.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well.
Anyway,
Hey, go
may
find some warm
may it
weather.
be a good week for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to head to Pennsylvania where it's really cold. And hopefully you'll find somewhere that is, folks, if Hanok's coming to where, somewhere around close that you're at, my suggestion to you, go buy a warm coat. He's bringing it
I
with him.
didn't bring it. I
Okay.
didn't bring it.
All
Mike, take
right.
care. Have
Till
a
next week.
great conference in Pennsylvania. Enjoy. Be safe.
Thank you. See ya.
Take care. Shalom. Bye bye.